let's talk about the actual process, the nitty-gritty of the actual process of applying for adjustment of status. So the great thing about adjustment of status is that there are many fewer steps than we have with consular processing, and definitely many fewer steps than we have with fiancé visas. So with adjustment of status, we actually get to file everything concurrently. Concurrently is a legal word that just means you do it all at the same time. So we love when we have the option to file things concurrently, which is what we do with adjustment of status. So we don't have to do a separate petition and then do other things. Everything's going to first be compiled into one big, usually like several inches, a couple inches thick application with lots of forms, lots of evidence, everything they need all in one big thing. So the application process starts when you actually file those applications in one big package here inside the United States. And then after that, you would get a receipt notice saying that it had been received, and they would set an appointment called a biometrics appointment for the immigrant to go into a USCIS office, and they'll take your fingerprints, they'll take your photograph to get your information and do the background checks that they're going to do on you. So it's a short, quick appointment. And then after that, sometime around the 90-day mark or shortly after that, from when you filed, you'll get temporary work authorization, and if you've applied for it, temporary or a travel authorization also, so that you can travel internationally. And so that's a great thing about adjustment of status, that this is possible, that you get these interim things so you can at least be working and you don't have to wait too long. And depending on how long your case is pending, it varies by office, but it can be really nice to have that in the meantime. So after about 3 months from when you filed, you would get that card that would have your work authorization and your travel authorization in it. And then depending on how many people are waiting at the office that's closest to where you live, you'll be assigned an interview date. And so at the USCIS office, they're actually going to interview both of the spouses. So you'll bring the US citizen spouse and the immigrant spouse. You'll both attend in person and answer questions about your relationship and history, so that the officer can decide whether or not you qualify and grant your green card. And so the green card that you receive will either be good for 2 years or good for 10 years. And the people who get the 2-year cards are people who have not been married at least 2 years at the time they get the card. So if you just got married and then you filed your adjustment of status pretty quickly after your marriage, then you'll get a card only for 2 years. But if by the time your green card gets printed, you go through the whole case, you've already been married for 2 years, they'll go ahead and give you a card that's good for 10 years. And the significance of that is that if you have a 2-year card, you have to jump through another hoop. Yay, more paperwork. You have to jump through another hoop in the 90 days before that 2-year card expires. And you have to send in some paperwork showing that your relationship continues on and it wasn't just a big trick to try to scam the government for a green card. And so that process is called removal of conditions, and that would happen once that 2-year card is about ready to expire, and then you would be able to get your 10-year card after that. But whether you had a 2-year card or a 10-year card, you will be able to apply for US citizenship once you are within 90 days before the three-year anniversary of becoming a green card holder. So not everyone wants to become a US citizen, but in general, we do recommend it, and a lot of our clients, do have that as their ultimate goal. So, it would depend, but just to give you sort of the full story of what your process is going to look like, you would be able to become a US citizen about 3 years after you get your first green card.